I never lose, either I win or I learn. Those are my only options, to whomever it may concern. About to be a hot topic, play with fire, you get burned. Ain't nobody give me nothing, whatever I got, better I earn. I never lose, but I learn. I either win or I
Thank you for
learn.
listening to the
Those are my
Strong
only
AF
options.
podcast.
This episode is brought to you by our Weight Loss Transformation Masterclass. After spending over 30 years of my life being obese and dealing with chronic constipation issues, I decided to get my certification in fitness, nutrition, and wellness to empower myself to lose over 70 pounds and keep it off.
Watching my brother and dad have a heart attack within weeks of each other, I knew I had to make a change, but I wasn't sure what to do. After researching and studying to get my certification in fitness, nutrition, and weight loss management, I was able to use this knowledge I gained to lose over 80 pounds and keep it off.
Now we're passionate about helping others to avoid the same mistakes that we made and changing the world through holistic health and wellness. So our approach is focused on mindset because overall health, including our mental health, means everything to us.
Imagine waking up with more energy than you imagined possible, no longer worrying about digestive issues and bloating.
We're here to show you how to ditch the fad diets and make small changes in your lifestyle, which will make a massive impact on your quality of life.
These are changes that you will be able to pass on for generations to come. Go to veganstrongandfit.com/masterclass today to sign up for your free masterclass and get started on a happier, healthier journey.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Strong AF podcast. I'm Ashley.
I'm Yuri.
And as always, tonight we're going to bring you another great episode. If you are listening to this on the podcast, I apologize. The sound quality is probably not going to be the best. So, and as well as on YouTube, you're going to see some funky background. But the reason being is, so we just sold our home and we're building a new home. In the interim, we are in our apartment, which is great, but it's a little tight. We have a 2-bedroom apartment that we're renting for the next 4 months with 3 kids and 2 dogs.
Yes.
So we are tight. And
We are still.
yeah, so if we don't have this background on, you're going to see all of our storage behind us. And unfortunately, I thought we had everything ready to go for the podcast, but I cannot find the cord that goes to our nice mic. So hopefully the sound quality isn't too bad, but I do apologize in advance because this is definitely not going to be our best sound quality.
Hopefully, we'll find it within the days, weeks, months.
If not, there will be a new one ordered. Don't you worry. We will get that taken care of. But to let you know, our episode that we're working on, or that we're talking about today, is the power of no. And we really thought this was a good one to talk about because, especially through our selling journey of our home and then getting our new home built, we heard a lot of no's, but we didn't let that hold us back. And the reason we want to talk about the power of no is because no is a very strong word. It seems very simple and very basic, but it's a very strong word.
Yeah, those 2 letters hold a ton of power. Just hearing no, or nah, no.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, think about, you start hearing this word from the time you're a baby. You know, you start to crawl, walk, get into things you're not supposed to. And as parents, you hear, no, don't do that. No, stop. And so no becomes a very familiar word from a very early age. We get very accustomed to hearing the word no. And that doesn't mean that no is always a bad thing, right? No keeps us safe as children. Our parents tell us, no, you can't do this, because they understand what the consequences are. But really, even as a child and definitely into adulthood, no can be a scary, depressing word. Many times people hear the word no and they just shut down and they change course.
Because you could even think when you're like a teenager, you see this girl or boy that you like, and you're working up the courage to ask them out or ask them their name or whatever it may be. Let's say you're going to ask them out and they say, no. That's just heartbreaking right there. You've been building up the courage and you're really passionate about it, and then no. And it's like, oh my goodness, who am I? I'm low as dirt. I'm beneath the dirt. Nobody likes me. It's very depressing. Just those 2 letters, no, can turn your world upside down.
Mm-hmm. But we want to talk about how to change that. No can be, like we said, a very good thing. You know, as parents, we keep our kids out of trouble. But it can also be something that discourages us from living out our dreams. And so one of the big things is, like with our kids, we try to say no because of this and explain why it's a no. So they don't just hear the word no and say, oh, okay, well, my mom just doesn't want me to do it. End of story. Like, we try to explain what it is that is the issue. And then sometimes they come up with a new solution and we're like, well, yeah, that's okay. You can do that. And so we want to teach them that no isn't the end of the world, right? It's just a no for the time being or a no for that particular situation. And how to be creative and think of other ways to handle the situation. So Yuri and I were very young when we got married. I was still in college. Yuri was still in college. And I really didn't think I was going to be able to finish college. Worked really hard and did classes, even brought YJ into school with me on a few occasions, and was able to graduate. And I kept hearing no when it came to jobs. I had my degree, double major in accounting and business, and it didn't matter. I applied and was told, no, you don't have the experience. No, you don't have the experience. And I'm like, how am I supposed to have the experience? I just graduated college.
Yeah, because just hearing that you're going to school, further your education, just so your family could have a better way of life so you can provide for your child. And the first thing out, you're like, okay, I'm going to get this wonderful job. I'm going to make $70,000 a year or $100 and some thousand dollars a year. And then you're building yourself up. You get an interview, you psych yourself up, you go in there and you think you did well, and you receive an email or something saying, we decided to go with somebody else. Or you get a phone call.
Or you don't even make it to the interview process because you're brand new out of school. So I ended up starting at a very good company, Fortune 50 company, which was amazing, but I was making $11.54 an hour, doing something that had nothing to do with what I graduated in. Worked there for right at a year and moved into payroll, which kind of had something to do with my accounting background, but still barely making any more than what I was starting off. And I was told the reason that I wasn't able to move into a higher paying job was because I started at such a low entry level position and it was hard for someone to move up that way. And actually, I started working on this really big project for HR. And that put me into a whole new realm of new people and working with different organizations. And I made a really good name for myself in that area. And I went and applied for the job, and it was 5 grade level jump. It was about $20-some thousand pay increase. And I applied for the job, and my manager said, you deserve the job, but you're probably not going to get it. Be prepared to hear no. I was like, that's so crazy. Why? And they said, because they just don't give people that high of a pay increase. You know, it's just a stigma here. So it was really hard to jump past that hurdle. But I knew, like, I went to those interviews, I killed it. I had already built that rapport with the people that I was working with. And I kept being told almost every day, you're probably going to hear no. You're probably going to hear no. And I was like, would y'all just stop? Like, I hear you, but you just got to stop. If it's a no, it's a no. But, you know, don't tell me this every day. But I got the job. I was able to move into that role. It went all the way up to a senior vice president for approval for me to move into that type of role because it was such a huge pay jump. So that's one of the things, like, they can tell you no, and it's never been done, but that doesn't mean that you can't do it.
Yeah, you could be that one person to break barriers and start up a training where everybody on a lower level can have something to shoot forward to.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I mean, the thing is just work hard and still shoot for your dreams. Like, it doesn't have to be what's been done before. Just because nobody else has done it doesn't mean that you can't do it. This is you. And as long as you're passionate about it, even if it doesn't go the way maybe you planned it to go, you can still make it happen.
Exactly. And me, for instance, growing up and being an adolescent in high school, you get into trouble where you make a mistake and your whole life has changed, where just because one bad night, now all of a sudden you have a record and you're a convicted felon, where you're trying to get jobs here and there, and all because of that one thing. Have you ever been convicted of a felony? And you have to put yes, where you've gone into these companies, you interviewed well, they offer you the job, and they say, well, now all we got to do is do a background check. And then all of a sudden, days go by, a week go by, you're like, okay, I still got it. Then all of a sudden you get a phone call saying, oh, because of your background, we have to rescind our offer. And now it's like, oh my goodness, I'm constantly being punished for a mistake I made when I was younger. Just one bad night, and you constantly hear, no, no, no.
Mm-hmm.
It can be very depressing and mess with your head. You could be one of these people who, all because of that felony, where you start to think, okay, I'm that kind of person, where I'm gonna just continue with this down spiral into this lifestyle where you end up spending the rest of your life into the penitentiary, where you're state property. It can doom you if you let it mess with your mindset. But if you stay forward and continue to strive and do better, then sky's the limit.
Exactly. And that's, I mean, your path is, you completely changed that around, and what record, right, white, clean, I can't even talk now.
Yeah, that was like a Christmas present last year on our way to New Orleans. I remember you may have got an email or something saying that my record has been expunged. And I remember when you told me, I believe I was driving. I believe I was driving. And I knew that I was receiving the expungement, was going through the process. I never thought what it's going to feel like to know that I no longer have to put, I've been convicted of a felony or something like that. But I remember when she told me, all of a sudden, just tears just started coming down my eyes. I was just so proud to let that bad one night finally let that go in the past, and I have to constantly carry that load on my shoulders, just knowing that I no longer have to say I've been convicted of a felony or something like that, that I'm done with that and I can move forward. To even just for our anniversary, went to the shooting range and they asked me, have you been convicted of a felony? Nope. And they ran the background and everything was good. You don't have to just carry that earlier burden, that one mistake. It can haunt you if you let it. But
exactly.
Yeah,
I mean, and that's the thing, like, it's not what you hear, it's not hearing the word no, it's what you decide to do with your life after you hear that word. Like when we were selling our home, we had solar panels put on the house, and when we bought them, you know, they were hyped up to us about, now granted, don't get me wrong, I did enjoy the solar panels. They are a great benefit. They are very environmentally friendly, but as far as the benefit, it's after basically you've paid those off, and you're not having those payments anymore for the electrical bill or the solar, which is great. And at the time that we bought them, we actually weren't planning on selling, but then the housing market just skyrocketed, and we decided to go ahead and sell the home, get the equity, pay off debt, and then move into a new home that we're building. But because of that solar being on there, it was very difficult to kind of get that going. Talk to, I don't even know. I spent probably 2 weeks on the phone with different lenders trying to see like what the best option was and how I could get, the lowest down payment and the lowest monthly payment, and also not have to worry about those solar panels because we weren't sure if someone would take them over, if we'd have to pay them off before we sold the house. And it was just, I swear, like I heard, no, you can't do this, you can't do that. We can't get you all this stuff that you want. And I was just like, my head was swimming.
We even had someone in the real estate field told us, oh, you're not going to be able to sell it with solar. No, that's impossible. You're not going to be able to sell a home with solar panels on it.
Yeah, I'm glad that we worked with the real estate agent that we did, because she was very confident that we could do it, especially in this housing market. Maybe not if it were a buyer's market, but definitely in the seller's market, that we could get this done. But even with her confidence, and we knew that she was capable, but still, after hearing that from someone else in that real estate field, that no, that's never going to happen, it's impossible. Like, we literally, there was maybe a couple of days we were like, maybe we should just stop and cut our losses. We already paid the deposit for the new house and all that stuff. And it was like, maybe we should just cut our losses and just call it quits, because obviously this isn't going to work out. So we let that no word just really dive down deep inside of our brain and completely change our mindset. And we were depressed for a couple of days, frustrated.
You would think we've heard no so much that we would be used to it by now, where we would just shrug it off and be like, okay, we've heard this before, we're just going to keep pushing, we'll come up with another idea of how to get around this. It's not a no, it's a not right now. What are my other options? What can I do? But even though we've persevered through stuff like this, you still have that doubt, but we didn't let that doubt overwhelm us. We came up with another solution, another solution, and another solution, to finally, one of the solutions actually solve the problem.
Exactly. And it took a lot of work. I'm not going to tell you that getting past the no is easy, because it's not. Getting past the no can be one of the hardest things that you've ever done in your life, but it is so worth it, because not only do you end up attaining your goals, but you just feel so much better about yourself, because you're confident that, dang, all these people told me I couldn't do this. I told myself I couldn't do this, but look at me, I freaking did it.
It's definitely, you may not see it as you're going through it, but once you're on the other end of it, you'll think back like, wow, can't believe we did that. We didn't let that stop us. We kept going. We persevered. And
sometimes when you hear no so many times, like, it can just feel like you're drowning underwater and you can't get out, and that's like all you see around you. But it's just taking a step back. And what I like to do, like, I don't see anything wrong with living in the negative for a moment, right? So generally what I do is I rant and rave to Yuri, and I'm like, this isn't going to happen, and this isn't going to happen, and this isn't going to happen because of this. And, oh my gosh, this is awful. This is not what we planned to do. What do we do now?
What do I say? We'll figure it out. I'm always the positive.
And that makes me so mad sometimes. Like, in that moment when he says, we'll figure it out, I'm like, no, don't. Like, just stop. Just be upset with me.
Because in my mind, what is both of us? We're both defeated and everything. There's no good that can come out of that. We're just going to dwell on it even longer.
Exactly.
If I'm at least, even if I don't believe myself, even if I'm like, oh, it's fine, we'll get through it, just kind of buying into my own bullshit. But if I just believe in it, then eventually my mind will believe it. Hopefully she'll believe it, and she'll get out of that slump, and we'll come up with some kind of solution.
Yeah, and honestly, him having that positive mindset is what really helps drive me, because I'll be frustrated and fuming about it, and then I'll be laying in bed. I'm like, hey, what can we do? What can we do? And I'm like, think of a new solution. So then we start talking about, okay, what if we do this? And then he'll bounce back, and what if we do this? And then we end up coming up with new ideas to try. So it's one of those things where, like, even with our business, we started in the travel industry, and then COVID hit. And we're like, well, great, we just spent all this money, we're in all this debt. Now what the frick do we do? Because now we have nothing to show for it.
Mm-hmm.
We owe a lot of money and we have nothing. So what do we do now? And, we took a moment and we were depressed for a couple of days, and then we were like, oh, great, time to figure out something new.
Yeah, we figured something out fast. it pretty much figured us out. It caught our attention, and here we are, vegan weight loss coaches with an amazing business with this podcast that kind of started over just, I think we should do this.
Yeah.
And we got it into motion within maybe a week or a few days, and we decided what we wanted to do, a name for it, and what we wanted our platform to be, who we wanted to speak for. We imagined who our listeners would be. And now we came up with this amazing podcast.
Mm-hmm.
We've had amazing guests come on, share their stories, share all the things they've been through, all the no's and naysayers, the doubters, who they all proven wrong and came out better people.
I don't know why I just had this realization, but I really think that the fact that we have come through so many no's and had to use really that creative spark to come up with new solutions to get to our goals, that has really allowed us to be more risk takers too, because we've heard the no so many times and we think of all these different solutions around it. So now we're not as scared to take the risk.
I don't think we are scared at all, really. It's just like,
I wouldn't say that, because I think there's always a little bit of fear when it comes to change. It's how you deal with that and how you process it. So I think there's always a little bit of reservation, like in the back of your mind, but it's like, okay, well, even if this goes wrong, we can figure something out.
I'm always excited about it. I see it as a new challenge, and I was like, okay, can't wait. This is what we're doing. Okay, let's go for it.
Yeah.
I don't even want to think about it and talk myself out of it. Let's go for it.
Yeah. Like, okay, so every year, well, what we've started doing recently is setting our goals for the year. And our goal this year was to pay off our debt. So we're like, okay, we're going to work overtime and do this and do that. Well, guess what? Yuri got hurt. He injured his back, was not able to work overtime. And then the storm hit in Texas, which knocked out all the supplies for where Yuri works. And so their hours were cut significantly. So that cut back on income and things like that we were anticipating to pay off these bills. So we were like, oh yeah, we're going to do it this way, this way, this way. And 2021 was like, nope, sorry. Right in January, it started hitting. Exactly. So we were like, oh shit, what do we do now? And so we were like, okay, well, we could sell our home, stay in an apartment while we build a new home, use that to pay off debt. Well, actually, no, our first one was refinance the home and use that additional money to pay off the debt. Well, they were like, oh, well, then if you take all that money out, then you're above the 80-20 loan to value. And so you'd have PMI still, and we can't do that.
Yeah, because
I'm like, I don't care about
we've
that.
only been in this home for
2
a little
years.
over 2 years. We built this home, so you can imagine we've only been there 2 years. So it's not like we cut off $20,000 or $30,000 off of the payment or anything.
And also, we love this house. Like, we were planning on that being our forever home. We didn't actually plan to move.
No, that was pretty much our dream home.
Yeah.
We never envisioned staying in a neighborhood like that and a big house like that. But
yeah, exactly. So we weren't really wanting to move to begin with. But we kept hearing no about the refinance offers, and we kept calling different places. And it was just that they didn't want to give us the cash out option when it would put us over that 80/20. So we weren't able to refinance. So we were like, okay, well, what do we do now? Well, we could sell the home. And we're like, nah, I don't really want to stay in an apartment because we've got 3 kids, 2 dogs. It's going to be a very tight fit. Then we have to move twice, move into the apartment, move out of the apartment. So we just kind of kept going back and forth on it. And we're like, well, if we found the right home, we might do that. And we were actually driving home, saw a billboard for one of the builders that we liked, went over to that area, and they're like, oh, well, we're not going to be there until really 2022. So it'll be a while. And I was like, well, crap, because we were really excited about that.
Yeah, and then I was like, well, let's just drive around to all the neighborhoods we looked at before we built the home we just sold. So we just started backtracking and going, looking for communities that were starting to build when we built our home. And then we seen a sign. I was like, okay, this is new model homes. Let's go over here. Then we went over there and seen that there's maybe like 10 houses in this community. We're like, okay, we really like this area. And then we went to the model home and nobody was there, but we called and left a message. And we were actually on our way back home.
I think they called like when we were maybe 5-10 minutes away.
Yep. They returned the call and was like, yeah, we're still in the office if you want to come back. And then that got the ball rolling. We talked to him for maybe an hour or two.
Talk about taking a risk, right? So we jumped. So first of all, as soon as we pulled into that neighborhood, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in love. Like beautiful sidewalks, nice area for the kids to run around in, big play areas. Like everything that we had imagined was there. And so
we're gonna have a pool with a clubhouse.
So nice area for the kids to play in, all that stuff. And we love being able to walk around the neighborhood, and this had so much space, and then a park just a couple miles away that we could walk to. And so it was perfect. Walked in, saw the model home, everything was gorgeous, hit right on track with what we were wanting. Ironically, before we even started looking to buy a home, we got a pre-approval letter from our bank in the mail. So it was almost like, you have to do this, like kind of that sign from God that like, this is where you need to be, And so we jumped on it. I mean, we talked through him that night. We planned everything out. And while we were in the room with him, I called my realtor and I was like, hey, are you available like tomorrow? Because we want to sell our home. And she was like, the home you just bought. So, like we were ready, moving forward. She got us exactly what we wanted and more from our current home. And we were able to take that equity, pay off bills, pay off that debt, and then working on building our new dream home.
Yep, can't wait. It's going to be a long 4 to 5 months, but it's definitely worth it. All these no's that never stopped us, kept going, made it through career changes and bad times that changed our criminal background, that we overcame all these obstacles. Even though you're a convicted felon, you don't let stuff like that stop you. You keep grinding, find another way, just keep pushing forward and learning as much as you can and not letting things stop you just because somebody says, oh, you can't do this, oh, you can't do that. Just show them, like, hey, have you met me? There's nothing that's going to stop me just because you tell me that I can't do it. I'm going to show your ass. That's just my mindset. If you tell me you can't do this, okay, you must not know Yuri, because Yuri I know can do anything he puts his damn mind to. And so that's what I encourage all our listeners out there. Don't let no stop you. There's plenty of ways that you can go around it. It may just be not right now or
not in this way. You just find another way. If it's something that you're truly passionate about and you really want, then continue going for it. If it's something that you're just like, whatever, it's not worth your time to find another way, then that's fine too. It's all about what you really want. But if you really want something, don't let no stop you.
Especially business-wise. you're going to hear a lot of no's and
Mhm.
stuff like that. You just can't expect to just start day one and first thing you're going to hear is yes, 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 yes.
Yeah.
The likelihood of that happening is very low. Just keep your head on the swivel, continue to pursue what you're passionate about, and work hard at it to perfect your craft, and you'll get there.
Yeah, and I mean, no comes in all forms and fashions, right? Financial, personal, business, career, all kinds of ways. So just understand, also health and weight loss, right? But just understand that you have control of your life, and these other people telling you no, it's normally based off of their own insecurities, and they don't, just because they don't think that they can do it doesn't mean that you can't do it.
Yeah, you got to believe in yourself. Even though other people may not believe in you, you've got to be the one who's courageous and passionate to push yourself, and everybody else may doubt you, but you stick to it. You believe in yourself and show the world, make them all believers.
Exactly. So, guys, remember, no is not the end all be all. You are stronger than no, and you've got this. So, stay strong and don't let anybody tell you what you can or can't do.